All right. So welcome everyone to the inaugural Rebuilding Together Climate Coach cohort. We are super excited to have you here today. I'll get my presentation up. That is not what we want. Okay. Perfect. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. So my name is Annika Lackner. I'm a Civic Spark Fellow, which is an AmeriCorps fellowship program. And I'm working with the City of Berkeley primarily, but I've also been working with Rebuilding Together on this huge project. So super excited to show you all what we've been doing. Here's a quick overview of what we're going to be covering today. I'll just give you a second so you can look that over. Yeah, we'll be throwing a lot of information at you. So as I was saying just before some people came on, that we will be recording this session and there will also be the slides sent out afterwards. There will also be multiple training sessions, so this is not your only chance to absorb this information. So yeah, and we will also have built-in question breaks throughout the presentation, so please hold your questions for those moments. They should be pretty obvious. Cool, so some introductions. I have with me today J.W. Fry, Executive Director of Rebuilding Together East Bay Network, and also Dan Lieberman, Director of Marketing at Ava Community Energy, both of whom will be popping in at some point throughout this presentation. So do either of you want to say anything real quickly or?
I would just say I'm so happy to be here and I can't wait to see the presentation that you've made and play our part. And thank you so much, everybody, for having the dedication to your community and your local environment to come out and make a difference. This is very much appreciated.
What he said.
Awesome. Well, thank you both. Oh, sorry. Well, thank you both so much for being here, for making a difference yourselves. So yeah, please introduce yourself and then pass it on to someone else. So I'm Annika, as I said before, I live in Oakland, and what excites me the most about becoming a climate coach is getting to know all of you. So I'm going to pass it to Aaron because you're first on my screen.
Okay, cool. Hi. I do sometimes have a tendency to bite off more than I can chew. So this whole project just sounds compelling and excellent to me. It overlaps very substantially with what I do as my sole professional work right now in my semi-retirement, which is that I'm the project lead for the induction cooktop teaching project that's going into school in Oakland schools. But this has a lot of overlap with that, I have a feeling. So I want to learn what I can from the way you folks are doing things. And if I have anything to offer, I will, of course, share what we're doing. And so I'll throw it to Marna because she's the next one over on my screen.
Hello all, I'm Marna Schwartz. I'm with the City of Berkeley. My pronouns are she and her. And I'm excited to meet all of you, like Annika said as well. I'm excited to be a support from the city side. Hopefully we can provide lots of resources for everyone as they become climate coaches. And I will pass it over to Katie.
Hi everyone, I'm Katie Van Dyke. She, her pronouns. I also work for the City of Berkeley, and I live in Oakland. I'm working closely with JW and Annika on this Just Transition project in Berkeley. And so really appreciate all of you taking the time to be here. Look forward to the conversation and getting to know you all. And I will pass it to Meenakshi. I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong.
Hi, no worries. I usually go by Mina actually because that's easier for people. But yeah, I'm Mina, pronounced she, hers. I live in San Francisco, but I work in Berkeley, and I work in research related to these topics, but I'm really excited to kind of get more real world experience in this and meet all of you as well. And I'll pass it to Allison.
Thanks, Mina. I'm Allison Levante, pronouns are she, her. I live in Berkeley, and I am excited to become a climate coach to support my local community and learn directly in conversations the needs and how the programs are meeting or not meeting those needs. And I will pass it to Jürgen Steyer.
Sorry, having issues with my camera. Hmm. Okay. Sorry. I'm not sure if you can see me.
We can see.
Anyways, my name is Jürgen Steyer. I am living in Berkeley, and I am excited to, hopefully become active in some climate action. I mean, something that might make a difference. I hope I can participate. I'm not always in Berkeley, but that's why I'm curious when that is and the specific logistics about it. Thank you. Oh, sorry. I'm moving over. I don't know who would be next. Megan, maybe?
Hi, I'm Megan. I live in Berkeley as part of a small co-op, and so I was really curious about this whole program as our building's pretty old and we'll be looking at upgrades soon. So yeah, I wanted to be able to share information with neighbors and folks on my block if possible. And I'll pass it over to, did we already do Erin? Yes.
I think Larry is our last one here. Thank you all so much.
I'll hand it off to Larry.
Thank you. I'm Larry Mandela. I live in Berkeley. I'm a retired carpenter and building contractor. Very interested in climate and carbon footprint issues and the process of electrifying our own home. And I give advice and support to friends who are interested in the same issues. And I'm just excited to learn about what's involved in being a climate coach.
Well, you've come to the right place. Thank you all. It's a pleasure to meet all of you virtually, and it sounds like we got a pretty impressive first cohort. So I bet you're all wondering, what is a climate coach? What did I sign up for? Larry, that was a perfect segue. So a climate coach is a rebuilding together volunteer who goes into the community to serve as an ambassador for energy efficiency and affordability. Our primary goal is always to help income qualified Berkeley residents save on their energy bills. And there's a lot of different ways that we can do this. We'll be getting into them over the course of this presentation. But a big part of that is going to be to spread awareness about energy affordability programs such as rate reductions, educate residents on ways to save energy through looking at the energy bill and teaching best practices for energy efficiency in the home, and informing residents about the benefits of electrification, as well as an opportunity to get electrification measures installed in their homes for free, which we will be talking about more later. So our two major goals as a climate coach are always to reduce cost, reduce carbon. So reducing cost for the resident is always going to be our top priority. And then our second and also important priority is going to be to reduce carbon emissions. So I imagine some in this group may already be pretty savvy about electrification, but just to make sure we're all on the same page, electrification is defined as the process of replacing technologies that use fossil-fueled power, such as oil or natural gas, with technologies that use electricity. And there are a number of benefits to electrification, some of which are on the screen here. And I'd say probably the most important one that we're focusing on is decreasing greenhouse gas emissions, but also improving indoor air quality, increasing comfort, providing more resilience benefits. There's just a whole lot. So as a climate coach, you should be able to educate residents on the benefits of electrification, but you will not be involved in any direct installs. And you will be basically presenting an opportunity to residents for something to be installed through Rebuilding Together as part of the Just Transition project. So once again, all you'll really need to know as a climate coach is that you should be talking to a resident that you're working with, teaching them the benefits of electrification. And if they're interested in learning more, you will then refer them to Rebuilding Together, who is the implementer for the City of Berkeley Just Transition project, which will be providing free direct installs of electrification, energy efficiency, and weatherization measures for income qualified Berkeley residents. Once again, these details are mostly just for you to understand the general landscape of the project you're joining. But yes, so contractors for this project will be pre-qualified and vetted for their labor standards, and also to ensure that they represent a diverse pool. So we're focusing a lot on women and minority-owned contractor businesses. The main goal of this project in the city is to reduce carbon emissions in Berkeley without increasing costs for low to moderate income residents, and also while maintaining those strong labor standards. So more about Rebuilding Together. Rebuilding Together will be your volunteer manager throughout the whole process. And I also have JW here with me to walk you through what that's going to look like. So JW, whenever you're ready.
Hello there, Annika. This is just an astoundingly good presentation, and I'm very grateful to you for putting this together. And it took a lot of work, it looks like. As far as the Rebuilding Together portion, we're going to be your end-to-end volunteer management, your point of contact. Where you go for your questions is also where you're going to get your training. So all of the trainings will have either myself or other Rebuilding Together staff there, who have taken other cohorts of other volunteers through processes. Sometimes, if many of you on this call may be familiar with either Rebuilding or Christmas in April events, where we actually put volunteers out there to do physical fixes. That's not what's going to happen for these climate coaches. They're mostly there to go and act as influencers and ambassadors to the public, to allow low and moderate income households to understand the rate reductions and other affordability grants that can accrue to low income households, and then also to allow them to navigate them towards the free implementation or free fix, weatherization, electrification work that we're building together, and its network of other agencies are providing through the Just Transition and our partner programming. So again, what we'll be doing is these training events will start with this kickoff, which is an online, which will also be pre-recorded. Then we will have a in-person event, which will be a review of this particular information, and then where we'll actually practice. So we'll get our hands on the materials, we'll ask questions, we'll role play, and then we'll finally, once we get through that day, be ready for what we consider our actual launch days, where Rebuilding Together will go out and select pre-qualified candidates who we already know what their income levels are, and Rebuilding Together staff will reach out to them and say, hey, our climate coaches are coming. And so they'll know who you are, they'll know what the purpose of the visit is. And that will be the first couple of weeks. About 30 people will be on a pre-qualified selected list. And we'll meet up, we'll do a tune-up, and then in pairs of 2 and sometimes 3, go out to the sites, go through, navigate folks to get their rate reductions, as well as signed up for the various free electrification measures. And all the day of logistics, coordinating between everybody's different, very busy schedules, and all of that, including setting up volunteer appreciation days and meetups for this cohort and other cohorts of the climate coaches to also go out and do fun activities, as well as have pizza parties and events that you'll have access to for being a part of it. Will all be handled by Rebuilding Together staff. And I think that's all I wanted to kind of cover and hit on. Oh, let me just put one plug in. The in-person training on Saturday, this Saturday, is actually going to dovetail. The end of the training is going to dovetail with the launch of the West Berkeley Urban Garden. So when we get out, we'll be able to all go, if you want to, at the same site where we're going to meet at the service center. There'll be a complete 100% reused urban felled timber eco net zero garden that's going in for low-income homeowners to have access to food security through growing and cooking their own food through induction cooking.
Yeah, well, thank you. Oh. Thank you, JW. That sounds, I will sadly have to miss the event, but the in-person event this weekend, but it sounds like it's going to be a great time. So I'm sad to be missing that. So yeah, and then just wanted to say that, as I think mentioned on a flyer that I think a lot of you probably saw in the sign up process, we are expecting about 1 to 2 hours a week for at least a month in terms of your commitment to being a climate coach. But it's also very flexible depending on your schedule, and we're hoping that a lot of you will choose to stay longer than a month, but minimum commitment that we're asking for is 1 to 2 hours a week for at least a month. So with that all said, what does a climate coach do? JW just walked us through a lot of the basics, including homeowner visits, outreach events, and referrals are going to be the 3 primary duties of the climate coaches. So for homeowner visits, small groups, 2 or 3 climate coaches, I think JW just said a lot of this, but we'll be visiting the homes of income qualified Berkeley residents to help them navigate rate reductions and basic energy saving measures. And this will be really a great opportunity to connect personally with people about this work and build community. And then outreach events will be another thing that you could be asked to do. And that will involve tabling at public outreach or community events. The primary goal of these events are to generate new clients to make home visits for. So you're giving people information, you're seeing if they're interested, and then if people are interested at one of these events, Rebuilding Together staff will be in touch with them to pre-qualify, to see if they are qualified for the program, and then you may be visiting their home. And then referrals are going to be the third sort of major part of what you'll be doing as a climate coach. So it says here that you will be developing skills to refer people to electrification and energy efficiency incentives and services. But what that's really probably going to look like most of the time is you referring a client who could be interested in electrification to Rebuilding Together so they can get something installed through the Just Transition project if they so choose. Although I think there are also some energy affordability programs that you're going to want to be able to refer people to and help people get signed up for and all that good stuff, which we will be talking about later in this presentation. So we just said referrals. You won't have to worry about knowing all of these specific details that are on this slide. So this part is not directly in your purview, but it's important for you to sort of get a feel for the landscape of electrification incentives and services in case residents have questions or yeah, so Rebuilding Together is partnering with Quality Conservation Services, or QCS, and Quit Carbon. So if residents fall into one of these specific income levels, they may have already been contacted by one of these groups. They may be working with one of these groups. So this is important for you to sort of just be familiar with the names and know that QCS is serving residents who are below or at 250% of the federal poverty line. And then the Rebuilding Together / Just Transition project is in this little middle sweet spot. I realize I'm gesturing to the slide, but this is a virtual presentation, so you can't see that. But so yeah, this sort of the sweet spot in between of above the qualification for QCS installation services. Oh, and I think I forgot to mention, these are partners in direct installation. So, or like getting people on the road to direct installation of electrification measures. And then Quit Carbon will be working with people who, or we will be referring people who do not necessarily qualify. And by we, I mean, Rebuilding Together will be referring people who do not directly qualify to Quit Carbon. And then what they do, QCS is basically doing the same thing as the Just Transition project. They have more ability to work with larger appliances and more major repairs. And then we will be providing through the Just Transition project free energy efficiency weatherization and electrification services, as well as we're anticipating probably more on the lines of small, medium appliances, but it will probably depend a lot on the individual homeowner's situation. And then Quit Carbon is more of a concierge service who can connect homeowners with incentives, rebates, or contractors for their own electrification journey. So once again, you don't have to have all these details memorized, but in the event that a client is curious or potentially has already been working with these people, it's important to just sort of know the name, get a general feel. So yeah, do we have any questions at this point? I know I just threw a lot at you.
There's a written comment there, Annika. I don't
Yeah,
know if you can see it in the
Alice,
chat.
yes, QCS does go through a number of different ratepayer funded programming. So mostly through PG&E, there's some slight modifications to that with other state grants that they work with battery storage and backup. But yes, QCS is a contractor that subcontracts out for free services through ratepayer programs.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Okay, awesome. I must be doing my job well. All right. So now, we're going to be walking through kind of some basics of the energy bill that you may be working with. So you will be helping residents go through their energy bills and see if there are basically opportunities to save money on their electric bill, or their energy bill. Some of you probably know of AVA, formerly known as EBCE, or East Bay Community Energy. AVA Community Energy provides our electricity here in Alameda County and also for part of the San Joaquin Valley. And then PG&E provides gas to, a much larger service area than we will be concerned with, as I'm sure many of you know. And they also provide the transmission and like equipment for both electricity and gas. So every time you pay your energy bill, it looks like you're paying PG&E, but you are paying both PG&E and AVA. This text and images are taken directly from the AVA website. They have some great resources on how to read your energy bill and what it means. But for our purposes of helping residents save money on their energy bills, we need to know 3 major components, which are the account number, which as you can see would be on the top right of the first page. And the resident will need this number if they are changing anything about their AVA or PG&E service. So then there's the total amount due. That's, yeah, pretty self-explanatory. And the rate schedule is the last thing that you should be able to find for sure when you're working with a resident on what their energy bill looks like. And the rate schedule has implications for how much the resident is paying. You will learn more about specific energy choices and rate schedules as part of a later training session. But this is just where to find it. And yeah, and then there are some more resources on these slides. If you're interested in learning more about the energy bill generally, I think this probably could be helpful in case residents have questions about anything else on their energy bill, but I would say not required reading for this point. So yeah, and then we have Dan here from AVA. Thank you so much for being here to talk us through some of the rate reductions that are available through the CPUC or the California Public Utility Commission. So yeah, take it away, Dan.
Sure. Yeah. So there are several programs that are available for customers who are income qualifying, and they can save a lot of money on their bill by enrolling in these programs. The first one is the left, the sort of green, sorry, I'm like color challenged, side of this page, CARE, California Alternate Rates for Energy. You can see the income eligibility. This is a statewide program. It's administered in our area by PG&E, so customers have to apply with PG&E. But the discount is the same whether they are on AVA service or not. It's just taken off the top of their bill, both on the gas side and the electric side. You can see it's 30+% for electricity, 20% for gas. That is a lot of savings. FARA is also a good discount. It is, you can't be on both CARE and FARA. CARE is the best discount. So if customers don't qualify for CARE and there are more than 2 people in the household, then they can apply for FARA. It is also a pretty good discount. CARE, you have to apply every 2 years. I think your eligibility remains for 2 years. So that might be enough on those slides. Or on that slide. There are other programs. Medical baseline is for customers who rely on an electric appliance for staying alive, like a CPAP machine is a good example. You're dependent on that device. So you get 500 kilowatt hours of your bill on a discounted rate. It's great discount for customers who are in that situation. And then there are some, that's just a direct bill discount. Also, then there are these additional programs that are available, like REACH, which is a more like a one-time bill credit for people who are income qualifying and have a large past due balance, or LIHEAP, which actually has a number of programs, including energy efficiency, one-time bill payment. Generally, I would say, so I can sort of fit in a plug here, for AVA, that our call center is quite good, and we have information resources that you can ask about, or that, if you're talking with people and they have questions, the people are knowledgeable, that's their job, and so they can help. We believe at AVA, we've done some data analysis, and we believe there are a lot of customers who are not on CARE who are eligible. So that's a good thing if you're, engaging with folks, if they're not on CARE but appear to be eligible, that's a great benefit to them to get them enrolled. We are trying to engage with those customers by doing our own email and mailing campaigns to people who we think might be eligible. And then another thing I thought I'd mention here is that you might have read about a new fee that energy customers are going to pay in PG&E service territory, income graduated fixed charges, which will be rolled out next year. Most customers will pay about $24 a month, just over $24 a month in a fixed fee. Customers who are on FARA will pay 12, and customers who are on CARE will pay 6. So that's another benefit of getting customers enrolled in these programs, is that their monthly fixed charges will be lower. So that's another, future savings opportunity. And then also at AVA, we offer customers 2 options: Bright Choice and Renewable 100. Bright Choice is currently 5% lower rates than PG&E, and the proposal to our board is to make it 7% savings. Customers who are on CARE, FARA, and medical baseline are automatically placed on Bright Choice. I think a lot of customers who are in that situation are not aware, but that's a nice additional discount that they get. Of course, customers can choose Renewable 100 if they prefer. And in Berkeley, customers who are not on CARE are automatically enrolled in Renewable 100. Anyway, if anyone has questions about AVA or about these programs or about how to understand their bill, you can reach out to me or to our call center.
Yeah, awesome, Dan. Thank you so much for taking us through that.
Sure.
And we will definitely, I feel as though these programs are going to be really the cornerstone of our interactions with people. One of the most important things that we can leave with people is that these discounts are available. And part of your duty as a climate coach will be to help people walk through these discounts, what they mean, how to apply for them, that kind of thing, if people have any questions on that. So we've reached another question checkpoint. If anyone has any questions or anything.
Yes, I have one.
Go for it.
Maybe this is too technical at this point, but I'm just wondering if you're doing a site visit to a potential client of these services, are they supposed to have, are they informed that they have their PG&E bill out and ready for you to examine, or is that all done in advance? How does that part work?
Yeah, so Rebuilding Together staff, especially for this first couple rounds, will have already made contact with the resident, verified that they know that you're coming, what they need to do in advance of when you're going to be there. So yes, I would say residents will know that they should have their bill ready for people to look at. JW, did I miss anything there?
No, nailed it. That's what I would have said too.
Thank you.
Great.
I had a question on the programs on affordability, and just wondering if you expect us to come connect with a customer that's in arrears. And there's a few programs out there for income qualified customers to manage their arrears or debt, I guess, owed to the utility.
Yeah, so we had one on the slides. Oops, that is not the directions. Okay. This REACH program, I know is one of these programs that is designed for customers who have past due balances owed. If you know of any others, please feel free to reach out and let us know so we can be sure to incorporate that into our programming. We're going to be sending you guys out with a huge packet full of information, so you don't have to memorize any of this, but yeah, so definitely reach out. My email is going to be on the last slide, if you don't already have it. So yeah, we would love any other information that you have. All right, anyone else? JW?
I don't have a question. I just wanted to put a plug in that when we're working in the low income community, especially to go in and make this electrification work, the most important thing is to build trust, because in addition to the burden of low income that we also have, and we'll touch on this, but I just thought it bared context, and that is, it's important for us to build trust as we go through this just transition, to not leave behind anybody, especially leave them on gas as more people electrify, it means that the rates that people pay for gas are going to be higher and higher, in addition to the detrimental health aspects and safety of the home of having the gas appliances in there. And so this is the best way that we've had to be able to go in and interface with folks and provide a very clear benefit to them by lowering their bills, and then to build that trust so that we can bring them on with, on through their electrification journey. And that Rebuilding Together holistically is treating these homes for fall prevention, for the preservation of intergenerational wealth, for the preservation of affordable housing in multifamily settings. So this is just one aspect. And by being able to come in here and give this value over, you're not only helping affect the climate, but you're really helping both preserve affordable housing and also dignity and whole health for the people that live there. So it's a very important part of the greater context, both within the just transition, but also within what it means to have equitable and accessible housing for all people in Berkeley. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Ah, there we go. Sorry, I briefly lost my mute button. But yeah, that was a great addition. Thank you, JW. So important. We are doing this, for the climate and for the community, and that's part of what makes this program so great, in my opinion. Did anyone else have any questions, thoughts? I think we got a little extra time, so don't be shy. All right. Well, on that note, JW has provided a wonderful segue into our next section, which is about cultural competency. And then if you are able to attend the in-person event, that would be great, because we're planning to delve way more into this at that point, and JW is preparing a fun role-playing activity for everyone. So definitely be sure to make it to that. But here are just some basics to know. And firstly, low-income communities have often been prey to scams and low-quality interventions that have left them worse off than when they started, including from, figures that really should have been trusted, such as the government, as nonprofit organizations. And it's really important that we are aware of that history so that we do not repeat it. And then another important thing is that we won't do anything that will raise a resident's energy bill in aggregate. Electrification measures on their own may raise a resident's electricity bill, which could present a raise of the whole bill. And that is a valid concern that a resident may have. But we in the Just Transition Project will not be performing any direct installs of electrification measures that will ultimately lead to a higher price for the resident to pay in total. So this is why we are focusing so much on affordable energy programs and increased energy efficiency, so we can really get residents to save as much as they can on their energy, so that hopefully they can then adopt an electric appliance into their home without trouble. So then, once again, we'll go through more of this at the in-person event with their role-playing activity. But just some things to be aware of when you're out on the job. People may become upset or emotional. People may have homes that are outside of your own expectations. There may be religious imagery or ideology that differs from yours. Just anything can happen. You know, people live a wide variety of lives. So an important thing to do is to remain non-judgmental. You are not here to judge. You are here to help, calm and positive, even when you don't understand exactly what's happening. Definitely, I mean, I would hope that this goes without saying that you're not trying to force or push people into something that they're not uncomfortable with, or they're not comfortable with, or they don't seem sure of. Once again, our role is really to be someone for the resident to connect with and to ask questions of. And if the answer to do you want a free heat pump is no, then that's okay. We tried. We did our best. And then another note is just don't be too familiar. Like, we want to cultivate a positive relationship and be friendly and open. But I would say in terms of familiarity, when in doubt, act as if you're at work, act professionally. You are representing Rebuilding Together here in the community. Seeing something in the chat. Yes, thank you, Marna. You read my mind. So there's the reminder for the in-person event on May 18th. And that is going to be, as JW said, at an exciting opening of an urban garden in Berkeley. There will also be another in-person event that is yet to be scheduled. I should have put JW and Dan's contact information on here, but that is my contact information. If you have any questions or comments, or you're just super excited about this program. So yeah, does anyone have any other questions, comments? I'll stop recording now as well, if I can find